was one thing I was really curious and kind of delving into. But then the other thing was, I was teaching at a gym at that point. I was teaching aerobics a couple nights a week. And there was a sign on the wall about a meditation class, and it said, find your peace. And I said, I certainly need to find my peace. I'm going to go to this meditation class. So I went and I sat in the back of the room because I'd never done meditation before. Matter of fact, it's probably what many of you think the first time you do meditation. I don't think I can do this. I can't sit still this long. I don't think I can meditate. But I just was a good student, and I listened to the instructor, and she ended up taking us on a journey with our eyes closed. We went into this garden, and when I was in the garden, the instructor said, why don't you ask if anybody wants to come sit with you? And I said, who's going to come sit with me? My eyes are closed, and I'm in an imaginary garden. But I said, I'm just going to pay attention. I'm just going to listen and, do what she asked me to do. So in my imagination, I found a place to sit in the garden. I sat there and I said, if anybody wants to come sit with me, come sit with me. And all of a sudden, I felt somebody hold my hand, and I felt this bright light next to me. And I was, just sitting in the experience. I'm like, why do I feel like somebody's holding my hand? I know somebody's holding my hand, but who's holding my hand? I started to go up in my head about it. And I finished the meditation. We came out of meditation, and the instructor said, does anybody want to share? And I'm like, I'm not saying a word. I made that all up. I'm crazy. And I left, and I got in my car to go home. And as I was sitting there, I realized I felt peace from the top of my head to the tips of my toes. And I thought, I've never felt this peace before. Something happened in there. And I said, I'm going to keep going back. So I did. It was, I think, a 4 or 5 week program. And every time I went back and went into the meditation, I felt somebody hold my hand, and there's this bright light next to me. And finally, after a couple weeks, I asked, who is this? And I heard in my thoughts, it wasn't like you're hearing my voice right now, but I heard in my thoughts, I'm your guardian angel. And I've always been with you. I will always be with you. And you're going to be okay, but you need to go through this. And again, I thought, cuckoo, making this all up. This must be my imagination. But it felt really good. And as I continued to go through my treatments, I never felt I was alone. All these synchronicities, these coincidences. Matter of fact, I had to spend 3 days in isolation because I had a high dose of radiation. And there were so many coincidences going. I was very scared. I was very sick at that time. And every single thing along the way, even when I was in 3 days, it ended up I was in a week in isolation, I never felt alone. I felt like somebody was sitting with me through the entire thing. So I was diagnosed in December, and by the next September, I was cleared, and they said, okay, you've got to get your energy level back up and just go back out into the world. Well, if anybody's had cancer, you have all this emotional and mental chaos still going on. So I went back to teach at the gym because I was feeling better. And this woman was talking at the desk, and she was talking to this other girl, and I was kind of on the outskirts listening in. And they were talking about having a psychic to their house. And I was listening. I was very intrigued, never had been to a psychic. And all of a sudden it came out of my mouth, can I come? And I was like, oh my God, that was so rude. I invited myself to this psychic and to her house and to her party, and I can't believe that just came out of my mouth. But she turned to me and she said, sure, you can come. And all week long, it was like a week later, all week long, I'm like, no, I can't go. What if she tells me something bad? I don't know what a psychic is. But something told me I should go. And so I ended up going all by myself, went into this house with strangers, and waited my turn to sit with the psychic. And when I did finally get my turn, I sat in front of her. She asked me 2 questions. What was my age and what was my name? And I told her, and then she took off. She started to tell me about my whole childhood. She started to tell me about my personality. She started to tell me about my life. But then she told me I had cancer. Now, I was only 34 years old at that time. She told me I had cancer. I had a choice to stay or go. I had chosen to stay, and I was going to be okay, and I would never have to go through it again. Remember, one of the things I said is, I don't want to have to do this again. And then she started to describe my guardian angel exactly how I saw her in my meditations and over that past 6 months. And she started to tell me things in my meditation, in my quiet time with my guardian angel. She started to tell me the same things my guardian angel told me. And that was it. I was like, I cried the whole entire time. I never said a word. I ran out of that party. And I thought, if a complete stranger could see and hear things that I saw and heard, then it had to be real. And that was it. It was almost as if I see it as a big door was opened, and it was my choice to go through this door to experience more about what are the angels, how can they help us, how can I communicate and connect more. And I had this inner desire and passion to learn more and experience more and connect more. And that was really the beginning. I would have never imagined that I had written 4 books or would come to North Carolina to speak and to go around the country and teach other people about both the soul and the angels. I would have never imagined it. But my passion and my desire led me to all these other wonderful and magical experiences.